Pedro was a little boy who lived in the Philippines. Outside his house, the land was beautiful, but Pedro stayed inside because he was afraid. He was afraid that one day he would open the door and there would be a monster on the other side. That was Pedro's great big fear, number one. One day, though, Pedro's parents went away and left him in the house all alone. And then there was a knock on the door. And when he opened the door, there was a monster outside. It was Baroka. She had the head of a witch, the wings of a bird, and the legs of a horse. Worst of all, she ate children.
You look delicious.
Then she snatched Pedro and flew away with him. She took him to her nest in the mountains. Every evening, Baroka would take a red handkerchief and pull out a single thread. That thread would burst into flame and light her fire. Next, Baroka would take a white handkerchief and squeeze it over a pitcher. Pure water would drip down and fill the pitcher. Finally, using the fire and water, she would cook a big supper for Pedro and force him to eat every bite. Pedro began getting plump. Soon he would be plump enough for Baroka to eat. So he decided to try and escape. She was so surprised that she fell over and dropped the colored handkerchiefs. Pedro grabbed them both and jumped out of the nest. Pedro ran as fast as he could, and he could run pretty fast. But Baroka summoned more monsters from all over the world. Hundreds of monsters ran after Pedro and flew after him and crawled after him and jumped after him. Pedro threw down the red handkerchief, and it turned into a fire that burned the wings of the monsters. But they kept on coming out of the ashes. Then Pedro threw down the white handkerchief, and it turned into a tidal wave, and all the monsters drowned. Thank goodness. Pedro found his parents, and they were glad to be together again. Pedro learned a good lesson, too. He had faced his great big fear, number one, and he was still alive. There was nothing left to be afraid of.